Welcome viewers, this is Tex of the Black Pants Legion, and now this is an interview. I've spoken with admins, hosts, developers, and other creatives behind Space Station 13 before, and they are notoriously antisocial types who generally don't like to talk with or at people for prolonged periods of time, as they are judge, jury, and executioner on a server, and can't be seen demonstrating favoritism, at least in theory. Anyways, here's how this works. I'm putting out an open call to any and all Space Station 13 admins on any public listed servers. This call is here, so answer it. If you are interested in answering or participating in an interview about Space Station 13, its history, and your server, please respond. See the description below for an email contact. I'll try to get to you and we can set something up. That being said, this is an interview with a Space Station 13 admin. The questions are largely freeform, chosen from a list donated by many viewers like you, and the discussion does not necessarily reflect the policy of the server unless stated otherwise by the person I'm interviewing. The reason I say this is I want to encourage an admin to be frank, honest, and open about their experience without worrying that they're shitting on their server, or to prevent them from being yelled at for representing the server community in a bad way. This is a point of view and not, I repeat, not an absolute definition of doctrine on said server. That being said, I welcome our interviewee. Please, internet person, tell me your name you wish to go by, your server, and your admin position.
Hey. So I'm Zewaka, and I am from the Goon Station server, and I am a coder.
And a coder on Goon also holds a admin rank, does it not?
Yeah, it's different from other servers in that respect, in that we don't have a separation of the codebase and admin roles.
This is pretty cool. So you kind of have one hand in being police and one hand in making the game.
Yeah.
So tell us about your involvement with the server. How did you come to be a coder and an admin?
Well, on Goon Station, we have this mentor system where basically after playing for a long amount of time, you can apply for a mentorship position, which basically allows you to answer questions in an in-game help channel. And I became a mentor around in 2015, a year after I started playing. And I guess the admins just kind of liked me, and they kind of basically told me, "You're an admin now, and get used to it." And that's pretty much it. They're like, "You're going to be an admin or maybe a coder one day," and congratulations.
So you were just drafted.
Yeah, I was pretty much drafted to become an admin.
So what have you coded? Anything people would know?
I've coded a lot of things. I haven't worked on a lot of features. I work mainly on a lot of behind the scenes things, like for our fluids project, where you can basically have any kind of liquid in the game that can run around the station and blow everywhere or flood the station, or the space could actually be an ocean of pizza. I worked a lot of that with optimizing it with MBC. Yeah, I mainly work on bug fixes at the moment and implementing community patches. Since Goon Station is a closed source server and other people can't look at the code, some community members want to contribute ideas and features to the codebase, so they submit patches to our forums, which then I pretty much implement.
All right. So you take ideas and hammer them into the fabric that is Goon Station.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, from your perspective as a player of Goon Station and an admin of Goon Station, why should a player play on your station? What makes it so interesting?
Well, Goon Station is pretty much like the original server. All the code bases pretty much come from the original Goon Station. So we've been around the longest, so we have a lot of cool features. So, for example, the fluid system that I'm talking about, we are the only active server that has a fluid system at all that works the way ours do. And it's a different atmosphere because we're so estranged from the other code bases like TG or Base Station. Everything just feels different, like the UI, how you play, the speed of the game, how characters interact with each other. It's all different, and it's a unique experience.
So what would you say is the greatest challenge or hardest part of being an admin on your server?
hardest part of being an admin, I feel like that might be dealing with like obnoxious players who don't wish to be less obnoxious. You can put it that way.
So people who want to hide behind the rules to excuse shitty
Yeah.
behavior.
Basically, they just skirt the rules forever because they're not technically breaking a rule, but they're just being shit in general. And
Yeah,
kind of breaking the spirit of the rules, if not the letter.
yeah, it kind of reminds me of like rules lawyers in D&D.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, what do you think are the greatest challenges with Space Station 13 today from the perspective of your server?
Greatest challenge is facing like, the whole community as a whole.
Yeah,
Is that what you mean?
correct.
Well, definitely there's the problem or something. I don't know what exactly to describe it. Of we're on the Beyond engine, which is not the best engine in the world. And you know how there's been tons of different remakes and attempts at remakes.
You mean the
And
graveyard of all the failed games that carry
yes,
Space Station 13
the
spark?
graveyard of remakes, the remake curse.
Yeah.
I feel like the engine is one of the things that's limiting us at this point. It's very easy to learn, but it's just so like weird in some ways that it does things.
So what do you think, since you are a coder, I'm not sure if you've seen this, but somebody pointed me to, there was a guy by the name of Monster860 who was one of the coders and developers and guys over at FTL 13.
Yeah.
And he's working on a Unity-based remake of Space Station 13.
Yeah. Unity Station, I believe,
Yeah,
right?
I believe that's correct. But do you think
Yeah.
Unity, being as it is kind of an empty sandbox, do you think that could be used to make a new Space Station 13 that's faithful to it?
I think the hardest problem facing any remake is features, and this game has been around forever, and we've just accumulated feature on top of feature on top of feature. And these remakes, I don't think they can keep up with this giant time gap that's facing them, with how many years of features we've had to implement. I feel like the only thing that could come close to having the full feature set is a transcompile, where basically they take the code as it is right now and port it to another code, basically.
I see what you're saying. It's so many years of development by so many people to add everything that's going on. It's like creating perhaps a new edition of Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly, you'd have to basically start over entirely.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. So what do you think makes a good admin good?
A good admin good. Well, I feel like the willingness to listen to players and like understand like their point of view rather than just enforcing your perspective on them. But another good thing about an admin is one who can follow the rules and not break the rules and not abuse their power. For example, there was this one admin on Goon Station before my time who basically abused his powers as a coder and hid secret overpowered guns across the station. So when he played as a player, he could get the guns and kill people all the time.
What kind of guns?
Like AK-47s or just revolvers or random trader gear. He hid it all over the station in like random places that no one would ever look, like under a wall.
And so he would know where they were, and just like some infinite heist of weapons.
Only he would know. So whenever he was trader or had a reason to use the guns, he would be incredibly overpowered, and no one would know where he got the guns.
That's pretty insane. Do you have any other, speaking of just crazy admin stories, do you have any other good ones from yesteryear?
Good admin stories. Well, we have this section on our forums which is called No, and it's for really, really denied ban appeals. And there's an admin on Goon Station. His name is Pope Crunch. I believe you might have heard of him.
I've spoken a bit with the infamous Pope Crunch, yes.
And there's this amazing story about trust and how if someone keeps leaving hidden poops in your house, how that can break someone's trust in you.
Yeah, I could certainly see that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things that's on the forums, at least, for Goon Station.
I also love that you guys have, and not a lot of people are aware of this, but um, when you and do listen to this, viewers, just put yourself in the mindset of this. Security is often very painful on Space Station 13, but what I love that you goons have done is you've made it to where you can take out your PDA as a SEC officer and write a ticket, and then it gets sent to your Goon Station page where people can upvote and downvote the best and worst tickets and citations. And so it's
Yeah,
this living, breathing history of all the shit that's ever been fined on Goon Station.
yeah. So basically, if you go to goonhub.com and you can see tickets or fines or the rounds even, and you can see like, for example, one guy will ticket a guy for hitting the head of personnel so hard with a Segway that he got drunk.
Pretty
Or you can
amazing.
see someone get fined for $1,000 for making fun of me and farting on me.
It's pretty amazing. I mean, you guys also even keep the metadata of how many people die and where, and, what's the most common area to get murdered in. And
Yeah, other servers do that as well, but I feel like our interface for interacting with it is a little easier to parse.
so, speaking of just misadventures on the station, on the nature of balance between shitcurity and the Grey Tide, what's your opinion on how to
Mm.
maintain that balance?
Okay, so as security, I believe that you need to make examples of the Grey Tide in order to control them. So on Goon Station, we have electric chairs, and there's two options for the electric chairs. There's lethal and non-lethal. And we also have this courtroom area on CogMap 1 at least, which has like a public viewing area in front of it, and there's a little chamber for the person to sit in. So you can make that chamber into a public electrocution room for people who are dissidents to security. So you can make an example out of the Great Tide.
Pretty
Sometimes,
remarkable.
however, it backfires and makes the Great Tide break into security and kill all the security officers. Sometimes.
I remember one time you guys had a trial, and you guys tried a traitor by trial of bomb.
Oh yeah, that's happened many times. I remember one time I was on the RP server, the Goon Station RP server, that is, and we were doing this trial where the clown was the, I guess, traitor's defendant, and eventually the traitor broke out of their little containment area, their little cell, and bombed the courtroom with all the people watching and the judge and the prosecutor and the defendant's lawyer, and the traitor escaped on the shuttle alone because he bombed the entire courtroom with everyone in it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, in your opinion, what is the best AI law set you've ever seen, antagonist or non, for amusement purposes?
I don't know. As an AI, I always like laws that like give me a gimmick and let me run free with it. Like, you are a space cowboy. You must now make the station your saloon, and you must refer to everyone as Mr. or Sheriff or any other Western time name. Like, I feel like the greatest part about the AI role is the freedom you have to interact with the station at any part of the station at once, and how you can interact with the whole station and change how the game takes place and how people interact with each other.
So, what is the best traitor you've ever seen in your long history of Goon?
Uh, that's a very hard question because there's so many different styles of traitor, from silently killing the entire station with nothing but your own hands, not even any kind of stun weapon, to traitors that make teleporters at escape that teleports you into this prison loaf machine that makes and compresses your bodies into loaves that destroy the entire station after the trader escapes on the shuttle. There's many different styles of trader, and they're all so amazing. Those two are some of the best ones I've ever seen, though.
So, what was the best round of Space Station 13 you've ever seen?
Best round of Space Station 13.
If you had to cut one round out of your memory and put it up for the whole world to see and judge this game by, what would you show them? That's what I mean.
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like each individual round is something that you could show to everyone. It's very hard to pick a specific round because sometimes it's just one player driving the round. But I guess one of my favorite personal rounds that I was involved in was this round where basically we were on the RP server again, and I was hosting this D&D game in the bridge that a bunch of the bridge officers were attending and playing in, and some of the crew was as well. And I was basically playing a version of D&D I like to call staff assistants and syndicates, and it was basically set in the SS-13 universe. And I was the traitor that round, and the players, I guess, the officers and the crew members were going and breaking into this syndicate base, and there was a man in a chair, and he turned around as he was in the chair, and he said, "There's a bomb." So as a traitor, I previously had purchased a bomb, a pipe bomb, in fact, and at that moment, I activated it and threw it on the table and ran out. And all of the people playing D&D died in a giant explosion, and I escaped. And I felt like I tried to bring the game into the real world that round, and I had a lot of fun.
That's good. I like that sort of immersion, fourth wall breaking. So, what is your favorite event on Space Station 13?
Well, you've interviewed the Shotgun Bill, correct?
Yes. Oh, yes.
So, a few months ago, he was doing these events, these Day of Destiny events, and it was basically like a storyline where each Saturday, I think it was, people would play a round where basically it's a continuing storyline with all the players. So one, there might have been wizards attacking, but then the next round, the next week, the wizards have taken over the station, and now the syndicates are attacking, or maybe the wizard president is coming and they need to protect him from assassination. I really feel like Shotgun Bill's event rounds are some of the most fun around. And there's this other really good round he does where it's a murder mystery, but everyone has the objective that they killed the man and they have to do anything to protect themselves. So the entire station is wrapped in intrigue and everyone's trying to defend themselves from accusations.
It's pretty remarkable, especially considering how far people will take things.
Yeah, it is.
So, what is your favorite role to play as?
Favorite role? I would probably say roboticist. I have a lot of fun just creating cyborgs and giving them weird upgrades or weird mismatched parts, or scavenging bodies right under the geneticist's nose so they can't clone them, and putting them in robots instead.
As it should be. I mean, praise the Omnicide.
Yes.
Fuck genetics, as Shotgun Bill said.
Yeah, I would say bomb genetics every day.
Well, that's the thing that was funny, is I asked him, why does the PTL laser go through this or that? And he's like, fuck genetics. And I'm like, oh, all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on one map that is currently a work in progress, the PTL laser actually goes straight through genetics.
For their own
very
benefit,
good feature.
of course.
Yes, of course.
What do you think on Goon Station, as it is today, is the most powerful department?
The most powerful department would definitely be research, because not only do they have chemistry and all the crazy chemicals they can come up with, But they also have the artifact lab where they can create guns that kill people in an instant. Well, not really create the guns, but they can find the guns, or they can find things that make up magic force field walls, or special seeds that make into alien plants that give them tons of chemicals that can save their lives in an instant. But on top of that, they also have toxins where they can create giant bombs that can destroy the entire station in just a few blasts.
Yeah, that's the thing I remember, is that your canister bombs on Goon are so much more than the old max cap bombs used to be on TG codebase.
Oh yes, we don't have a cap.
You hear that out there, folks? Say that again for a fact.
We do not have a cap as far as I'm aware on our bombs.
So, Cuban Pete, if you're listening, try out Goon. So, in your opinion, what is your favorite Space Station 13 map?
My favorite map would have to be Cog Map 1 because that's kind of what I first started playing on, and it's kind of what I've grown to love. But I mean, like, Cog Map 2 is a good map for high populations. Destiny is a fun map. I feel because we have a map rotation over on Goon Station, so the players can vote for the next map every round, and we cycle through all the maps pretty much all the time. So I don't know. It's hard to pick one, but I would probably choose Cog Map 1 because I've spent the most time playing on it.
That's cool. So, if you could say one thing to new players who join your station, what would it be?
I'm gonna have to probably echo my fellow admins on this and say, don't be afraid of trying out new things. And don't be afraid of talking to people and creating genuine interactions between you and them.
That's the one thing I've noticed was every time I've done something on another server that could potentially destroy the station if I do it wrong, admins will instantly boink and tell you to stop doing it. On Goon Station, I accidentally burned down engineering on Cogmap 1 probably a dozen times over the past 3 weeks. But I can finally hell burn the engine.
Yeah.
And the only thing I've heard is encouragement, like, oh, you killed the clown. Oh, well, better luck next time.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. We don't really go down on people for accidentally blowing up stuff, only if they really do it on purpose.
Yeah, no, mine is general incompetence while trying to figure out fuel and pressure mixes.
Oh yeah, that's totally fine.
So, what's with your goddamn goon monkeys? Do you know the history of why they decided to make them that fucking ferocious, other than, as Shotgun Bill said, quote, fuck genetics, end quote?
I mean, that's a good point. Because I forget, when I first started playing, I think they were more docile. But basically, they improved the AI so they would pick up items and use them. So if you leave a gun next to a monkey and you attack the monkey will pick up the gun and shoot you. Or they will pick up glass shards and stab you in the chest. And they're really quite ferocious, as you say. And geneticists have a monkey pen, and they use monkeys for their experiments. So if a geneticist is not wary and they don't use blindfolds on the monkeys so they can't see them, they will die because all the monkeys will gang up on them and stab them to death inside the monkey pen.
So, I was gonna say, or ask rather, what's the full story? I mean, Shotgun Bill offered his opinions on this, and Dion, I believe, offered some of his opinions on this, but what is Goon Station's history of poop?
History of what?
Poop. Defecation.
Oh, poo. Poo.
Yes.
Okay, so before in the Brown days, that was before my time. I joined after poo was eradicated and made into
the Brown
compost.
days.
Yes, that's what we refer to those days as. That was around like 2012, I believe.
Right.
That was
right.
around the time poo was removed, and it was pretty bad. It was basically instant slipping things that you could summon, and you could fling it everywhere, and you could slip people on it, or you could. It was pretty bad. I personally haven't played with it that much. I have booted up some old server revisions and played around with it, but it's definitely something else, and it was removed. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about bringing it back? Because that occasionally is brought up. Ask the goonmen why.
Yeah, the players always say bring back poo is kind of a chant they sing throughout the server. And I don't think it's ever going to come back, honestly.
I can understand. You've moved beyond that era.
Yeah, because that was also the era where people could just kill, well, not people, but like admins, they could just kill whoever they wanted because, well, they were admins and they deserved to be able to kill people. And we've kind of moved past that. That was around 2012, as I was saying, and that was the time we did like admin restructuring and things like that.
So, now I want to get into some things that people may not know. You, sir, are the creator and operator of the Solarium Wiki.
I am. So, yeah.
Let's talk Soul. I know a lot of people have been teased about some of the stuff about it, some of the knowledge about it. Some of the people will think they have a solution. Some of the people really do not listen to anything you admins say about Soul because they believe you're all misleading them at this point. Which is wonderful, I think, because that encourages them to dig and, sift through it all. But tell us what you will about Soul. Why should someone be interested in solving this Space Station 13 version of the Goonies and National Treasure combined?
Okay, well, as far as I can believe, I think I'm pretty sure the Solarium puzzle started in 2013 or 2014. So it's been going on for a long time. And so this thing appeared. It was called the Solarium, and it was this ship orbiting the sun, Sol. And it had a puzzle behind it. There was various adventure zones, like a lava moon or an ice moon, or random ships in a debris field filled with corpses. And players had to basically navigate these adventure zones, as we call them, and try to solve the puzzle of the Solarium. And so far, the players have found only one of the possible endings. We call it the bad ending. And basically, the server, like the physical representation of the server the game is hosted on, appears in the Solarium after you speak to this strange robot. And if you destroy that server, everything catches on fire, and the server dies, and it reboots, and it errors, and the next round is very messed up. It's a disaster, you might say. And this disaster mode has aliens and strange things from different dimensions that come and attack the players as they need to escape on the shuttle, which is, of course, being slow that day. And
So, yeah,
that's
no,
kind of
continue.
the bad ending of the Solarium. And players have always been looking for the good ending. And, well, no one's found it yet.
Shotgun Bill hinted earlier this week to a few people, I'm told, something about Icarus getting too close to the sun and, of course, falling into the sea. Is this a hint that the Solarium will be taking us underwater?
Um, it could be. It could be. Shotgun Bill is very known for giving hints. Back before I was an admin, I actually learned how to read Ancient Sumerian because that's a very prominent language in the whole Solarium puzzle. And he gave me some messages about this marriage of two people, and I did a bunch of research on it, but it turned out just to be a prank on me, basically.
A red
And
herring.
a red herring, yes. So, take what you will of what he says. It may be true or it might not. Who knows? But definitely heed the story of Icarus and don't fly too close to the sun.
Very well. Very well. And if people were interested in becoming soul nerds and following your Solarium exploits, or at least getting into that, how would they go about this?
So the main way that you probably should do it is go in game, go to Telescience, and see if anyone's there, and ask if anyone's doing any Solarium expeditions, maybe on the station's radio. And if you start to dive in and start to visit adventure zones, you'll start to piece together the puzzle that is the Solarium. And then probably the next step is to go on the Solarium IRC channel on our IRC. And, there's discussion of the Solarium and its puzzles there. And who knows, you might find something new.
So, also, I wanted to take this, since we are near the end of the interview. Do you have anything you want to communicate to the Space Station 13 community? Shoutouts, apocalyptic warnings, requests, or so on. The time is yours. And sir, please let people know your channel address, its name, because you too are a spaceman.
So yeah, I do create videos of Space Station 13. I haven't been doing a whole lot recently because I've been very busy with holiday stuff. But hopefully I can start making more videos soon and just reporting rounds I'm playing. So yeah, on YouTube I have a YouTube channel called Zewaka, same thing as my name, and I make some Goon Station videos about, different events as me playing as a medical director, or me playing as an AI, or, I'm a lifeguard and I have to safeguard the pool one round.
Good luck with the pool.
Yeah, and the pool's changed since then. Now it can overflow, so it's even worse now.
Fantastic. Well, anyways, I wanted to thank you for coming on and, of course, listening to my crazy questions, but also providing perhaps a bit of interesting things for people to follow up on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for the opportunity.
Certainly.